They prepped me before, and so they said to me, you'll be in for at least 6 weeks. And they said to me that every time you're getting well, every time you have an infection, that will just add on a couple of more days onto that. So just be mindful of that it could go on longer for 6 weeks. And I got out in good time. I got out beforehand, which amazed me and amazed all the doctors, so I was out within 4 weeks. Just take each day at a time. Don't think about the length of time you're going to be in there. And just try and just have a little routine and try and do the same thing every day.
The periods of isolation in the hospital was possibly one of the more difficult things to cope with, because all I wanted to do was go out. I was in there on the 6th of December. I came out, I think, on the 15th or 12th of January the following year. So it wasn't as long as I expected, but it was still long enough. There was a lot of thinking time in periods where I was on my own. So, of course, my mind would run away with me. My advice to people in isolation is just to, as much as it might be difficult, embrace it. I'd just take a few things that were personal to me, decorate the room a little bit as well to give it a little bit of light, a little bit of a personal touch, because this is not permanent. This is always only going to be temporary, and you would be home in your own bed at one point. And when you do finally get into your own bed, it's a really nice feeling.
It lasted, the initial treatment before the stem cell, about 6 months on and off in hospital. And then the stem cell was about 3 to 4 weeks in hospital before going home. And that's what I'd been advised. It's a long day because they wake you up at about 6 o'clock in the morning, and often there's noises going on in the hospital all night long. I was actually allowed out of the hospital during the day, within, limits of being sensible, not going and mixing in the crowds. But I would go for a walk, and I found that really, really helpful. If you are able to get outside of the hospital, go for a walk, get some fresh air, if you can see some flowers and some birds and just some life beyond hospital life was great.
They'd come round and take me out, keep me busy kind of thing, check in with me, see how I was. Yeah, even if it was just like a phone call or an email or a text message, that was all around me. So that was really, really supportive, was having people around me who knew what I'd been through and were there still to support me afterwards as well.
It's very tense with the risk of infections because you start worrying about everything, and I would worry about anyone sniffing if they came in to visit me, and in fact we cut down visits, so the only visitors I really had was my husband, my sons, and 2 very close friends, and anyone else I just said I didn't want any visitors, because the risk of infection was so great. At times it was very helpful to be self-reflective and to use the experience and being able to write down my thoughts, being able to process actually what was happening for me, and maybe looking at any areas that I wanted to change in my life.
I actually encouraged people to come round and to meet people, and I ended up with a little routine where every morning, no matter how I was and how I was feeling, I'd always get up, have my breakfast, have a shower, go out for a walk, go up to the local coffee shop, sit there, read a paper, or look at my phone or whatever kind of thing, just to sort of like keep myself busy and active and have a little routine for myself as well.
I'm quite a sociable person, so I was listening to music and I got up and I thought I need to get out of this room where I was. So I walked around the floor that I was in, and I spoke to all the nurses, and I spoke to some of the staff and some of the patients just to see how they're going, what they're up to. Played lots of card games with some of the patients. They were quite open to that because they were also in the same predicament I was. So I think some good advice for someone that's in isolation is to say what's on your mind, just to get it out so you don't feel like you're alone. If you're not really much of a talker, is maybe to write it in a journal or a diary or even in a text message, just to get it out so you're not feeling so bunged up with all this feelings that you might have.
I would just have just have a little routine of, you know, just force myself to wake up each morning, get out of bed, have a shower, get changed, get washed, have lots of reading material around me. So I had all my friends bring me the trashy magazines that so love reading, not now, but at the time. I took my laptop in as well, so I like look online, email people as well, friends and family, watch a bit of TV, had a little TV in the room as well. So it was just to try and occupy myself as much as possible.
When I was due to go for an x-ray, and the vast majority of the times, whenever you had to go out of your room, a porter came, sit in this seat, and off you go. Every time I said, "Can I walk?" and the normal answer was, "No, I can't." But on this one occasion, the guy said, "Yeah, you can walk if you like." And the thing that did inside to me, physically, it absolutely felt, I can't describe how good it felt to be able to walk no more than, 200 metres, something like that. Be active, even if it's only your mind that's being active, to focus on something that you want to improve on, or you just want to learn about, whatever it may be. Have some goal, some objective while you're in isolation.